Welcome, dear dreamer. Tonight, let the noise of the day loosen its hold as we step into a world woven from moonlight, quiet gardens, and gentle breath. With every unfolding moment, allow your mind to drift, slowly, softly, into a place where time moves like dew sliding down a blade of grass. Settle in, breathe deeply, and let this story guide you toward a peaceful, unhurried sleep. Whispers of the Twilight Garden. The garden held its breath, a hushed sanctuary bathed in the ethereal luminescence of a waxing moon. The air, usually alive with the day's gentle hum, now thrummed with a profound stillness, broken only by the distant rhythmic chirping of crickets. This was a night for secrets, for quiet unveilings, and at its heart, a solitary bloom stirred. It was the moonpetal, a flower whispered about in hushed tones, spoken of in lullabies passed down through generations of gardeners. Not for its vibrant hues, for in the moonlight all colors softened into shades of pearl and silver, but for its ephemeral nature and the potent magic of its scent. Tonight, under the benevolent gaze of the celestial orb, the moonpetal was preparing to reveal itself in its full, delicate glory. The journey from bud to blossom was a slow, deliberate unfolding, a ballet of exquisite grace. Each petal, tightly furled against the encroaching night, began to subtly shift. A hairline fracture appeared along the seam, a sliver of inner light escaping, hinting at the luminous beauty hidden within. The process was so gradual, so imperceptible to a hasty eye, that it seemed to exist outside the ordinary flow of time. One could watch for minutes, and the change would be minuscule, yet over the span of an hour, a transformation of breathtaking wonder would occur. Imagine the delicate tension within the bud, the stored energy of the day's sun, now being released in a cascade of silent growth. The outer sepals, like protective hands, slowly parted, revealing the first shy hint of the inner petals. They were not white, not ivory, but something far more enchanting, a pearlescent sheen that seemed to absorb and then softly radiate the moonlight. As they unfurled, they revealed a texture like the finest silk, so delicate that one could almost imagine them dissolving into mist with a single touch. The aroma began to emerge not as a sudden burst, but as a subtle caress upon the night air. Initially, it was almost imperceptible, a faint whisper of sweetness that one might mistake for the dew-kissed earth or the distant scent of pine needles. But as the petals continued their languid dance of opening, the fragrance deepened, intensified. It was a perfume unlike any other, a complex blend that was both floral and something more, something that spoke of cool, damp earth, of moonbeams captured and distilled, of the quiet magic of the night itself. This was the soporific quality, the gentle lullaby woven into the very essence of the moonpetal. It was a scent that didn't demand attention, but rather invited it, slowly seeping into the senses, calming the mind, and easing the weary soul into a state of tranquil repose. The air itself seemed to respond to the flower's awakening. The subtle shift was not a gust of wind, but a deepening of the night's breath. The coolness intensified, carrying with it the burgeoning fragrance, wrapping the garden in an invisible, scented embrace. It was as if the very atmosphere was sighing, surrendering to the soporific allure of the moonpetal, becoming a more intimate, peaceful space. The chirping of the crickets, which had seemed a mere backdrop, now felt more like a resonant chord, a steady, unhurried rhythm that underscored the quiet unfolding. Each chirp was a tiny pulse, a gentle reminder of the living world around, yet so perfectly harmonized with the stillness that it enhanced, rather than disrupted, the pervasive sense of peace. Perched high on the gnarled, ancient branches of an old oak tree, a wise old owl observed the scene with an almost regal stillness. Its plumage, a tapestry of muted browns and greys, blended seamlessly with the bark, making it a part of the venerable tree itself. Its large, intelligent eyes, like polished obsidian, were fixed upon the garden below, reflecting the silvery glow of the moon with an uncanny brilliance. These were not the eyes of a predator, but of a silent guardian, a witness to the garden's nocturnal rituals. There was an ageless quality to its gaze, a deep knowing that seemed to encompass the slow passage of seasons, the silent growth of plants, and the ephemeral bloom of the moonpetal. The owl remained motionless, a statue carved from the night itself. Its presence was a comfort, a symbol of the garden's enduring quietude. It did not hoot or stir, its stillness mirroring the deliberate pace of the flowers opening. The moonbeams caught the glint in its eyes, transforming them into tiny, luminous pools, each a miniature echo of the celestial body that cast its spell upon the garden. It was as if the owl, too, was entranced by the moonpetal's slow ascent to beauty, a silent communion between ancient wisdom and delicate, fleeting magic. The surrounding flora, in their own quiet ways, participated in the night's transformation. The broad leaves of the hostas, usually a vibrant green, now appeared as velvety shadows, their surfaces dusted with the moon's silver. Ferns, their fronds intricately etched, unfurled their delicate spirals, catching the faint light like miniature sculptures. Even the moss, clinging to the base of the oak and the weathered stones of a forgotten path, seemed to glow with an inner luminescence, a verdant carpet woven from moonlight and shadow. As the moonpetal continued its unfurling, the fragrance grew more potent, a subtle yet pervasive balm that seemed to penetrate the very soul. It was a scent that spoke of deep, undisturbed slumber, of dreams woven from moonlight and tranquility. It was not a heady, overwhelming perfume, but something far more refined, a gentle suggestion that eased the mind from its waking worries and invited it to drift into a state of profound peace. One could almost feel the scent as a physical presence, a soft, invisible blanket being draped over the senses, quieting the incessant chatter of the day and fostering a deep sense of calm. The distance between the moonpetal and the wise old owl on the oak tree was not great, yet it felt like a chasm, bridged by a shared appreciation for the night's hushed symphony. The owl's unwavering gaze, the flower's slow, aromatic unfolding, the rhythmic chirping of the crickets, all were threads in a tapestry of serenity. There was no urgency here, no clamor, only the profound beauty of a world at rest, revealing its most delicate wonders under the watchful eye of the moon. The dew began to gather, not yet forming the sparkling symphony of dawn, but a nascent moisture that kissed the petals of the moonpetal and beaded on the tips of the surrounding grasses. It was a silent prelude to the morning, a gentle dampening that spoke of the night's slow passage and the earth's quiet nourishment. The air grew cooler still, carrying the intensified fragrance of the moonpetal and the faintest hint of damp earth and unseen blossoms. One could imagine standing in this garden, breathing deeply, and feeling the tension drain away with each exhalation. The moonpetal's scent was not a drug, but an invitation. It was a gentle nudge towards introspection, a reminder of the quiet beauty that exists when the world slows down. It encouraged a focus on the present moment, on the subtle shifts of light and scent, on the rhythmic pulse of nature. The crickets, their evening chorus reaching its peak, seemed to weave a sonic spell. Their chirping, repetitive yet never monotonous, created a hypnotic rhythm. It was a sound that had accompanied countless nights, a timeless melody that spoke of the natural world's enduring cycles. In its simplicity, it was profoundly comforting, a constant in the ever-changing landscape of the night. It was the heartbeat of the garden, steady and reassuring, a gentle anchor in the sea of tranquility. The oak tree, a silent sentinel, stood as a testament to time and resilience. Its ancient branches, etched with the stories of seasons past, provided a steadfast perch for the watchful owl. The tree itself seemed to absorb the moonlight, its rough bark shimmering with a subtle, silvered glow. Its presence grounded the scene, a symbol of stability in the ethereal beauty of the night. It was a reminder that even in the most delicate and fleeting moments, there is an underlying strength and permanence in nature. The moonpetal's bloom was not a singular event, but a process that invited slow observation. It was a lesson in patience, a demonstration that true beauty often reveals itself incrementally, requiring a quiet mind and a receptive heart to fully appreciate. Each petal that unfurled was a story in itself, a testament to the intricate design and silent power of nature. The subtle undulations of the petals, the way they curved and overlapped, created a visual rhythm that was as soothing as the sound of the crickets or the distant murmur of a hidden stream. As the moonlight intensified, reaching its zenith in the waxing phase, the moonpetal seemed to glow from within. Its luminescence was not a harsh glare, but a soft, diffused radiance that added to the otherworldly atmosphere of the garden. It was a flower that belonged to the night, its beauty intrinsically linked to the moon's gentle reign. Its very essence seemed to be woven from moonlight and the quiet magic of the hours between dusk and dawn. The wise old owl blinked slowly, a deliberate movement that suggested contemplation rather than fatigue. Its reflection in the moonlit petals of the moonpetal was fleeting, a brief dance of light and shadow, further enhancing the dreamlike quality of the scene. It was a silent partnership, the owl's watchful presence and the flower's unfolding beauty, a perfect harmony in the stillness of the night. The scent of the moonpetal continued to deepen, its soporific influence spreading through the garden like an invisible tide. It was a fragrance that bypassed the conscious mind, directly addressing the parts of the soul that yearned for rest and peace. It was the essence of surrender, a gentle invitation to let go of the day's burdens and to sink into the profound comfort of the night. It was not an opiate, but an elixir, a natural balm that soothed the frayed nerves and quieted the restless thoughts. The crickets, seemingly in response to the flower's full bloom, continued their rhythmic song, a serenade to the moonlit garden. Their tireless chirping was a constant, a comforting drone that filled the spaces between other, more subtle sounds. It was a sound that could easily fade into the background, yet upon closer attention it revealed a complexity, a subtle variation in pitch and tempo that made it a living, breathing part of the night's soundscape. The dew continued to gather, each tiny droplet clinging to the blades of grass and the tips of leaves, reflecting the moonlight like 1,000 tiny diamonds. These nascent dewdrops were a promise of the morning, but for now they were simply part of the night's serene beauty, adding a shimmering punctuation to the velvety darkness. They were small, ephemeral miracles, hinting at the transformations that nature orchestrates with effortless grace. The moonpetal, now fully open, its luminous petals spread wide to embrace the moonlight, exuded an aura of profound tranquility. It was a beacon of peace in the secluded garden, a solitary marvel that held the night captive with its ethereal beauty and its potent, sleep-inducing fragrance. Its presence was a gift, a gentle reminder that even in the deepest hours of the night, there is a quiet magic waiting to be discovered, a restorative power to be found in the simple, deliberate unfolding of nature's wonders. The wise old owl, still on its perch, shifted slightly, its feathers rustling with the softest whisper. It tilted its head, as if listening to a melody only it could fully comprehend, perhaps the silent song of the moonpetal itself. Its reflection in the moon's gentle glow seemed to deepen, its eyes holding a profound peace that mirrored the garden's slumber. The ancient oak offered its silent support, its sturdy branches a testament to the enduring strength that underpinned such delicate beauty. The garden, wrapped in the moonpetal's fragrant embrace and serenaded by the cricket's tireless chorus, had become a sanctuary of sleep. The air was heavy with peace, the light soft and diffused, the sounds gentle and rhythmic. It was a place where worries could melt away like mist in the morning sun, where the soul could find solace in the quiet magnificence of the natural world. The moonpetal bloom was not just a visual spectacle. It was an invitation to surrender, to inhale the tranquility, and to drift effortlessly into the embrace of a deep, restorative sleep. It was a moment suspended in time, a perfect stillness before the world began to stir once more. The first hint of dawn was not a violent intrusion, but a gentle sigh across the horizon. It was a softening of the deep indigo, a subtle dilution of the night's absolute rain. And with this nascent light came the dew. It wasn't yet the grand, glittering spectacle that would soon adorn every surface, but a nascent moisture, a cool kiss upon the sleeping flora. Each blade of grass, each unfurling leaf, each delicate petal of the still fragrant moonpetal had been touched by the night's gentle exhalation, now manifesting as tiny, luminous pearls. Imagine a single blade of grass, still bowed from the night's quiet vigil, clinging to its slender tip, a perfect sphere of liquid light. This was no ordinary water. It was the distilled essence of the night, infused with the lingering magic of moonlight and the soporific aroma of the moonpetal. This solitary dewdrop, cradled by the verdant tip, was a universe in miniature. Within its transparent embrace, the faint pre-dawn light fractured and shimmered, painting a fleeting spectrum of pearly pinks and soft lavenders. It was a silent jewel, precariously balanced, a testament to the night's quiet artistry. As the faintest breath of a breeze stirred, a tremor ran through the blade of grass. The dewdrop, momentarily dislodged from its perfect perch, began its slow, inexorable descent. It was a journey measured in micrometers, a slide that felt as profound as any epic voyage. Down the green surface it traced a glistening path, leaving behind a faint, wet sheen. Each minuscule bump and contour of the grass blade became an obstacle, a gentle negotiation in its downward course. The droplet wobbled, its spherical form distorting slightly, then reforming, a testament to the surface tension that held it together, a fragile cohesion mirroring the way our own thoughts, when gathered, can form a coherent whole. The world around this single dewdrop was awakening in hushed tones. The rhythmic chirping of the crickets, which had been a steady heartbeat throughout the night, began to ebb, replaced by subtler sounds. A soft rustling, perhaps a small creature stirring in the undergrowth, a whisper of movement that was more felt than heard. The air itself seemed to hold its breath, a momentary pause between the deep slumber of night and the vibrant awakening of day. It was in this liminal space, this quiet interlude, that the garden revealed its most delicate secrets. The dewdrop continued its slow pilgrimage. It encountered a microscopic ridge on the grass blade, and for a moment it hesitated, a tiny pause before continuing its journey. As it moved, it gathered the faintest trace of chlorophyll from the grass, a subtle tint that deepened its pearlescent hue, making it appear as if it had absorbed a sliver of the garden's very life force. The light that passed through it now held a more verdant quality, a promise of the chlorophyll-rich days to come. This descent was a metaphor made manifest, the gentle sliding away of worries, the gradual release of tension. Imagine the mind, like this dewdrop, carrying the burdens of the day, the anxieties, the unspoken fears. As the light of a new dawn or the profound peace of the night washes over it, these burdens begin to loosen their grip. They don't shatter, they don't crash, they simply begin to slide, slowly, gently, down the smooth incline of acceptance and into the waiting earth of forgetfulness. The dewdrop reached the end of the blade of grass, poised for a moment on the very precipice. Below it lay the soft, dark earth, still cool and damp from the night. For an instant, it seemed to hang suspended, a perfect tear of light reflecting the burgeoning sky. The colors within it were more pronounced now, the subtle golds and rosy hues of a sunrise beginning to paint the eastern clouds. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated beauty, a fleeting perfection that existed only in this precise instant. Then, with a final, almost imperceptible release, it let go. It fell the short distance to the earth, not with a splash, but with a soft sigh, a gentle merging with the moist soil. In that moment of contact, it ceased to be a distinct entity, yet its essence, its purity, was absorbed. It nourished the earth, contributing to the intricate network of life that pulsed beneath the surface. It was a dissolution, yes, but a dissolution that was also a continuation, a transformation into something new, something essential. This silent act of evaporation, this gentle return to the atmosphere, was a profound lesson. The dewdrop, having fulfilled its purpose as a jewel of the night and a harbinger of dawn, now began to fade. As the sun's rays grew stronger, the tiny droplets that adorned the garden began to shrink. The iridescent sheen softened, the vibrant colors muted, and slowly, imperceptibly, they returned to the air, leaving behind only a faint dampness and the memory of their ephemeral beauty. Consider the leaves of the hostas, their broad surfaces now dotted with countless tiny dewdrops. Each droplet was a miniature lens, capturing the growing light. They shimmered and sparkled, transforming the dark green leaves into carpets of diamonds. But this brilliance was temporary. As the sun climbed higher, the heat began its work. The edges of the dewdrops thinned, their spherical forms flattening, their internal light dimming. They were not disappearing, they were transforming, their liquid state giving way to the gaseous, rejoining the cycle of water, destined to fall again as rain or form new dew on another quiet night. The Moonpetal, its luminous display now yielding to the advancing day, also bore its share of these transient jewels. Tiny droplets clung to the velvet texture of its petals, catching the light and adding a final, delicate shimmer to its fading enchantment. The potent fragrance, so powerful in the darkness, began to dissipate, mingling with the fresh, clean scent of the awakening earth. The dewdrops on its petals were like lingering tears, the last vestiges of its nocturnal splendor, slowly being kissed away by the morning sun. The sounds of the garden were growing bolder, a robin's cheerful chirp, a tentative buzz from an early bee exploring the emerging blossoms. Yet these sounds did not detract from the profound peace. They were simply the gentle overtures to the day, woven into the fabric of the garden's awakening. The rustling of leaves was no longer a whisper, but a soft sigh of contentment as the breeze passed through. The journey of the dewdrop, from its precarious perch to its silent dissolution, was a profound meditation on impermanence and acceptance. It was a reminder that beauty is often fleeting, that moments of perfect peace are not meant to last forever, but to be cherished for their transient brilliance. The worries that had seemed so heavy in the darkness, like the dewdrops themselves, were being gently coaxed away by the light of a new day, their substance evaporating into the vast expanse of possibility. As the sun rose higher, the spectacle of the dewdrops reached its crescendo. The entire garden was a kaleidoscope of shimmering light. Each blade of grass, Each petal, each spiderweb spun between branches, was adorned with these tiny, transient jewels. They were nature's morning jewels, bestowed upon the world before the full clamor of day began. They were a gift, a gentle reminder of the quiet magic that exists in the world, a magic that often reveals itself in the most delicate and ephemeral forms. The dewdrop's descent, though minute, was a powerful narrative of release. It spoke of letting go, of trusting the natural flow of things. As it slid down the grass blade, it was shedding the constraints of its static form, embracing the dynamic nature of existence. And when it finally met the earth, it was not an end, but a transformation, a humble return to the source from which it came. This cycle of formation, existence, and dissolution, mirrored in the tiny dewdrop, offered a profound solace. It suggested that all things, no matter how heavy or permanent they may seem, are subject to change, and that within this change lies a deep and abiding peace. The warmth of the sun began to claim the dewdrops, drawing them upward into the atmosphere. They lifted, not as water, but as invisible vapor, carrying with them the subtle scents and memories of the garden. This ascension was as quiet and profound as their descent. It was a return, a rejoining, a promise of future forms and future encounters. The dew had served its purpose, adorning the garden, reflecting the dawn, and now it was dissolving, leaving the leaves and petals refreshed, ready for the day ahead. The garden, now largely free of its watery adornments, began to stir with a more visible energy. The leaves turned their faces towards the sun, a silent collective act of worship. The colors of the flowers, muted by the night, now began to bloom with their full, vibrant intensity. The moonpetal, its fragrant lullaby fading, retained a subtle pearlescent sheen, a lingering memory of its nocturnal triumph. Yet the imprint of the dewdrops remained, a faint dampness that spoke of the night's gentle nourishment, a subtle reminder of the transient beauty that had graced the awakening garden. The cycle was complete, the dewdrop's symphony concluded, leaving behind a refreshed world and a quiet, lingering sense of peace. The world outside, a tapestry of subtle shifts and nascent light, played no overt role in the deepest slumber of the young fox. Tucked away in its den, a haven woven from the earth itself, it was a universe apart. The burrow, a sanctuary beneath the gnarled roots of the ancient willow, offered a silence so profound it was almost a tangible thing. Here, cocooned by the cool, damp embrace of the soil, the fox yielded completely to the ancient rhythm of rest. Its body, a study in coiled repose, mirrored the very roots that sheltered it, a compact marvel of fur and bone, breathing with a slow, rhythmic exhalation that stirred the fine dust motes dancing in the faint shafts of light that occasionally pierced the dense weave of the earth. Within this tranquil chamber, the fox's dreams began to unfurl, not as dramatic narratives, but as a series of sensory impressions, soft and gentle as the fur that lined its nest. The dreamscape was a diffusion of warm, golden light, the kind that filters through leaves on a lazy summer afternoon. It wasn't the stark clarity of midday, but a softened, hazy glow that promised warmth without the intensity of the sun's direct gaze. This light painted the imagined glades with a palette of muted greens and earthy browns, the very colors that offered solace and familiarity. The scent, too, was an echo of waking hours, but amplified, a richer, more intoxicating perfume of wild strawberries, their sweetness intensified in the dream's ethereal realm. Each imagined berry, plump and ruby red, seemed to release its essence with every imagined brush of a phantom paw, a phantom lick. There were no looming shadows, no sudden noises, no challenges to overcome. The fox's dreams were a testament to a life lived with a gentle rhythm, a testament to the contentment found in the simple act of being. It was a world of tactile pleasures, where the softness of moss underfoot was a constant, comforting presence. The dream earth was yielding and warm, molding itself perfectly to the contours of its dreaming body. Imagine the feeling of sinking into a bed of the finest down, but with the added, primal comfort of being embraced by the earth itself. Each subtle shift of its sleeping form sent ripples of soft sensation through the dream, a gentle rearrangement of comfort, a sigh of pure, unadulterated ease. The dream fox, an extension of its sleeping self, moved with a languid grace through these sun-dappled glades. It was a journey without destination, a meandering exploration dictated by whim and sensation. A patch of particularly fragrant clover might draw its attention, not with the urgency of hunger, but with the pure delight of aroma. It would lower its head, not to graze, but to breathe deeply, inhaling the sweet, verdant essence, allowing the scent to permeate its very being. The dew that might have adorned the real clover was absent here, or perhaps it was transformed into a finer, more ethereal moisture, a soft mist that clung to the imagined fur, a cool caress that deepened the sense of immersion in this tranquil world. The ancient willow, whose roots cradled the fox's den, was a silent, benevolent presence even in the dream. Its branches, heavy with imagined foliage, provided the canopy for these dream glades, their leafy embrace filtering the light into those soft, golden patterns. The rustling of its leaves was not a sound that could startle, but a gentle lullaby, a continuous whispering murmur that underscored the pervasive sense of peace. It was the sound of nature's breath, slow and steady, a counterpoint to the fox's own tranquil respiration. In the dream, the willow's roots might seem to extend, not as solid woody structures, but as sinuous, comforting tendrils, weaving a more intricate protective embrace around the sleeping creature. The contentment was a palpable thing, a warm current flowing through the dream. It was the satisfaction of a day's gentle exploration, of the simple pleasures of scent and warmth and soft earth, now magnified and purified by the alchemy of sleep. There was no memory of the day's minor scuffles with siblings, no lingering discomfort from a scratchy bramble. These were smoothed away, like pebbles polished by a gentle stream. The dream was a distillation of pure well-being, a return to an elemental state of peace. Imagine a child, utterly safe and loved, their world reduced to the immediate sensations of warmth and security. This was the essence of the fox's dream. The dream fox might pause, its dream head cocked, listening not to a specific sound, but to the symphony of silence. It was a silence that was rich with potential, with the quiet hum of life that existed beneath the surface. Perhaps in the dream, it could feel the slow pulse of the earth, the subtle vibrations of unseen activity. This wasn't a frightening awareness, but a deep, reassuring connection to the living world that sustained it. The soft, yielding earth beneath its paws was not just a surface, but a living entity, and the fox was intimately a part of it. The berry patches in the dream were not just sources of scent, but tactile experiences. The imagined fur would brush against the rough stems, the smooth, cool surfaces of the leaves, and then the exquisite, yielding softness of the ripe fruit. The dream fox might nudge a berry with its nose, feeling its gentle give, its cool, almost liquid interior. There was no need to bite, no need to consume. The pleasure was in the interaction, the sensory engagement with the idealized abundance of nature. The sweetness wasn't tasted as a sharp, distinct flavor, but as a pervasive, warm sensation that spread through the dream body, a generalized feeling of pleasantness. The concept of safety in the dream was not an active defense, but a passive state. The burrow, the protective roots, the imagined glades, they were all extensions of an inherent security. There was no predator, no threat, no uncertainty. The fox was simply there, existing in a state of perfect, unthreatened peace. This was the profound gift of its sleep, a brief but absolute reprieve from the vigilance that even a young creature must maintain in the waking world. The deep, even rhythm of its breathing was the physical manifestation of this absolute lack of fear. Each inhale was a replenishment of calm, each exhale a release of any residual tension. Consider the subtle shifts in the dreamlight. As the imagined sun dipped lower in the dream sky, the golden hues would deepen, transitioning to soft oranges and warm roseate tones. This wasn't the dramatic spectacle of a real sunset, but a gentle fading, a slow preparation for a deeper, more profound stillness. The air, in the dream, would grow cooler, but in a way that was still comforting, like the gentle cooling of the earth after a warm day. The scent of the berries might be replaced by a fainter, more delicate fragrance, perhaps the imagined scent of night-blooming flowers, their perfume a soft whisper in the deepening dream twilight. The dream fox might find itself by the edge of a dream stream, its waters not rushing, but flowing with a silken, hushed murmur. The water would be cool and clear, and the fox might dip a dream paw into its surface, feeling the gentle coolness, the smooth flow against its fur. The pebbles at the bottom of the stream would be rounded and smooth, inviting to the touch, their textures subtly conveyed through the dream. The sound of the water was not a distraction, but a soft, ambient music, a part of the overall symphony of peace. The reflections on the water's surface would be soft and wavering, mirroring the gentle dance of the leaves above, adding another layer of visual tranquility. There was a profound sense of belonging, not just to the den, but to the entire imagined landscape. The fox was not an intruder in these glades, but an intrinsic part of them. Its presence was as natural as the moss on the stones, as the sunlight filtering through the leaves. This feeling of inherent integration was a deep source of comfort, a primal understanding that it was where it was meant to be. This wasn't a conscious thought, but a deep instinctual knowing, a feeling that resonated through its dreaming body. Imagine the sensation of being deeply, profoundly relaxed, so much so that the boundaries between the self and the surroundings begin to blur. This was the state the fox inhabited in its dreams. The soft earth was not just beneath it, but around it, within it. The gentle warmth was not just on its fur, but radiating from its own core. This dissolution of boundaries was not unsettling, but profoundly peaceful, a complete surrender to the present moment, an experience of pure, unadulterated existence. The dream might carry the faintest echo of sounds from the waking world, but transformed. The distant call of a bird, normally sharp and distinct, would be softened, muted, like a melody heard through thick walls. The rustle of leaves, amplified by the stillness of the den, would be a gentle cadence, a rhythm that lulled rather than alerted. These auditory impressions were woven into the dream's fabric, contributing to its overall sense of gentle immersion, rather than disturbing it. The feeling of sleep was not a void, but a rich, textured experience. It was like sinking into a warm, deep pool, the water buoyant and supportive, holding the body effortlessly. Each slow breath was an affirmation of this support, a gentle rise and fall that was in perfect harmony with the imagined environment. The dream was a sanctuary, a place where the demands of the physical world were temporarily suspended, replaced by the pure, unadulterated pleasure of being. The tactile sensations were paramount. The dream fox might imagine the feeling of its own fur, thick and soft, the way it lies against its skin. It might twitch a dream ear, feeling the delicate movement of the cartilage, the fine hairs that lined its opening. These were not explorations of the body for any purpose, but simply an awareness of its physical form, an appreciation of its comfort and its inherent rightness. The warmth emanating from its own body was a comforting anchor in the dream, a constant reminder of its own living presence. The wild berries, so central to the dream's olfactory landscape, might also manifest visually, not as individual fruits, but as a general impression of vibrant, deep color. Imagine walking through a field where the air itself seems to be tinged with the rich hue of ripe berries, a pervasive visual richness that permeated the entire dreamscape. This was not a place of sharp edges or defined forms, but of soft gradients and diffused colors, where the boundary between sight and scent became delightfully blurred. The willow roots, in their dream form, might offer a different tactile experience. Not the rough bark of reality, but a smoother, more polished surface, cool to the touch, radiating a deep, ancient calm. They might be imagined as forming alcoves, soft depressions in the earth where the dream fox could curl even more deeply into the earth's embrace, feeling their gentle pressure as a comforting hug. This was a deeper level of security, an even more profound sense of being held. The absence of urgency was a defining characteristic of these dreams. There was no need to forage, no need to explore with purpose, no need to return to the den. The dream was a state of perpetual, contented presence. Each imagined moment flowed seamlessly into the next, a continuous stream of gentle sensation. The fox was not moving through time, but existing in a timeless state of peace. This was the ultimate luxury, the profound release that deep, undisturbed sleep offers. The dream fox might stretch, a slow, languid unfurling of limbs. It wasn't the immediate, energetic stretch of waking, but a deliberate, sensual elongation, a savoring of each muscle extending, each joint releasing. The feeling of its claws, retracted and soft, might brush against the dream earth, a subtle, satisfying friction. This stretching was not an act of preparation, but an act of pure physical appreciation, a moment of connecting with its own dreaming body. The sounds of the imagined world were like soft brushstrokes of sound against the canvas of silence, the whisper of the wind through the willow leaves, the gentle murmur of the dream stream, the distant softened calls of nocturnal creatures. These were not distinct noises, but integrated elements of the dream's sonic tapestry, adding depth and texture without ever intruding upon the pervasive peace. It was the sound of a world breathing, gently and rhythmically, in perfect harmony with the sleeping fox. The comfort of the den was more than just a physical sensation, it was an emotional one. In the dream, the den was the embodiment of absolute security, a place where every need was met, where every fear was banished. The soft earth was like a warm blanket, the surrounding roots like the arms of a loving parent. This was the primal reassurance that allowed for such deep and untroubled slumber, a complete surrender to the nurturing embrace of the earth. The dream was a return to an almost embryonic state of being, a pure consciousness of sensation and warmth and safety. The complexities of the waking world, the subtle social dynamics of the den, the burgeoning awareness of its place in the wider world, all these receded, replaced by a focus on the immediate, comforting reality of the dream. It was a restoration, a gentle recentering of the self in the most fundamental elements of comfort and peace. The slow, even cadence of its breath was the heartbeat of this dream world, a steady rhythm that underscored the profound and absolute rest. The garden, a realm of slumbering life, held a secret artistry, a silent ballet performed in the hushed hours of twilight, as the last vestiges of the sun bled into the horizon. painting the sky in hues of amethyst and rose, a different kind of creation began, not with grand pronouncements or vibrant displays, but with a delicate precision, an almost imperceptible unfolding of design. It was the work of a weaver, a creature of shadow and silk, whose presence was often felt more than seen, whose efforts built a transient beauty that shimmered with the dew of dawn. Imagine, if you will, a garden undisturbed. The scent of damp earth, of crushed herbs, and the faint, sweet perfume of fading blossoms hung heavy in the air. The great oak, a sentinel against the fading light, stood stoic, its branches reaching like gnarled fingers towards the sky. And it was within these ancient limbs, in the spaces between leaf and twig, that the weaver began its silent labor. Its journey was not one of haste, but of an innate, unhurried purpose. Each step was measured, each movement deliberate, a choreography honed by instinct and millennia of natural design. This spider, no larger than a fallen rose petal, commenced its work from a point of absolute stillness. It anchored its first silken strand with an anchor of unwavering strength, a minuscule yet potent bond to a sturdy twig. This was not a haphazard act, but a foundational decision, a commitment to the architecture that would soon emerge. The silk, spun from within its own being, was a marvel of organic engineering, impossibly fine, yet possessing a tensile strength that defied its ethereal appearance. In the dim light, these initial threads were almost invisible, mere suggestions of form against the darkening foliage, glinting with a pearlescent sheen only when caught by a stray beam of moonlight. From this anchor, the weaver moved with a fluid grace, an eight-legged dance across the burgeoning canvas. Its body, a dark jewel against the muted greens and browns of the garden, was a finely tuned instrument. Each leg, equipped with microscopic claws, found purchase on the leaf surfaces, the smooth bark of twigs, the delicate veins of petals. There was no fumbling, no hesitation. The process was a testament to a profound internal knowledge, a blueprint etched into its very being. The air itself seemed to hum with a silent energy, the potential for the tapestry to come. The first few radial threads were laid with geometric precision, radiating outwards from the central anchor. Each thread was pulled taut, creating a framework, a skeletal structure that would support the more intricate patterns to follow. The weaver would pause at the end of each radial strand, its abdomen vibrating subtly, extruding another strand of silk, anchoring it with a deftness that spoke of practice beyond comprehension. The faint thrum of the silk, if one were attuned to the subtlest whispers of the garden, would be the only audible evidence of this monumental effort. It was the sound of creation, soft and persistent. As the radial spokes were established, the weaver began its journey around the circumference, laying down the outer frame of its creation. This was not merely a decorative border, but an essential structural element, enclosing the nascent space and providing a boundary for the intricate work that would follow. The movements were economical, efficient. The spider would traverse the perimeter, its body moving with an almost liquid flow, leaving a continuous silken loop that defined the edge of its ephemeral domain. Then, the true artistry began. The weaver moved inward, spiraling from the outer edge towards the center. Each pass of its legs laid down a new silken thread, forming a spiral that was both a structural element and an aesthetic marvel. The spacing of these threads was not random. It was a calculated design, creating a web of interconnectedness. Where a thread met a radial spoke, the weaver would pause, securing the intersection with a minuscule knot of silk, reinforcing the structure and ensuring its stability. The sounds of this meticulous process were incredibly subtle. The gentle brush of the spider's legs against a dew-kissed leaf, the faint snap as a silken strand caught and held, the almost inaudible whir as its spinnerets worked their magic. These were not the sounds of a busy workshop, but the quiet symphony of nature's most dedicated artisans. In the stillness of the twilight garden, these tiny sounds became amplified, each one a testament to the focused intent of the weaver. Consider the tactile experience of the silk. Imagine its texture, not sticky and amorphous, but smooth, almost like spun glass, yet yielding. In the dim light, it would appear as a faint mist, a shimmering haze woven into the fabric of the garden. A single dewdrop, clinging to a silken thread, would refract the moonlight, creating a miniature prism, a fleeting beacon of light in the growing darkness. Each thread was a pathway, a suspension bridge, a testament to the spider's ability to manipulate its environment with incredible finesse. The weaver's world was one of precise angles and perfectly maintained tensions. It understood the physics of its creation, the way each thread contributed to the overall strength and integrity of the web. There was no wasted movement, no inefficient expenditure of energy. Its journey across the expanding tapestry was a continuous loop of motion, extrusion, and anchoring. It was a testament to the power of focused, sustained effort. As the spiral tightened, the gaps between the threads grew smaller, the pattern more intricate. The web began to take on a palpable presence, a delicate veil that hinted at the hidden world of its creator. It was a testament to the beauty that could emerge from the most unlikely of sources, a reminder that order and elegance could be found in the smallest corners of existence. The weaver, in its silent industry, was bringing a unique form of beauty to the Twilight Garden, a beauty that was both functional and breathtakingly artistic. The spider's body, small and unassuming, was the engine of this grand design. Its spinnerets, located at the tip of its abdomen, were marvels of biological engineering. Each one could produce different types of silk, strong, sticky silk for capture, and fine, non-sticky silk for structural elements. The weaver would expertly select and deploy these different silks, ensuring that its tapestry was not only a work of art, but a highly effective tool for survival. The rhythmic click and whir of its internal machinery, if one could hear it, would be the quiet hum of productivity. The garden itself seemed to conspire with the weaver, offering its branches, its leaves, its very structure as the scaffolding for its creation. The dew, which would later form glistening beads on the silken threads, was already beginning to gather, imbuing the nascent tapestry with an ethereal glow. The faint breeze which stirred the leaves with a gentle sigh also served to test the resilience of the silken strands, their subtle vibration a confirmation of their strength. This was not a process of brute force, but of exquisite control. The weaver did not wrestle with the materials, it coaxed them into form. Each movement was a gentle persuasion, a soft tug, a careful placement. The silken threads emerged from the spinnerets not as liquid, but as fine, cohesive strands, solidifying almost instantly upon contact with the air. The speed at which these threads were spun and laid was astonishing, a blur of motion that belied the intricate precision of the outcome. The spider's entire existence, for this brief period, was dedicated to the construction of this one perfect structure. It was a singular focus, an absolute absorption in the task at hand. The demands of hunting, of survival, of all the myriad concerns of its life were momentarily set aside, replaced by the all-consuming drive to weave. This dedication, this unwavering commitment to the act of creation, was perhaps the most awe-inspiring aspect of its silent labor. As the center of the web was reached, the weaver began to reinforce the structure. It would often create a more dense, less spiraling pattern in the very center, a hub from which the radial threads emanated. This area was often more heavily reinforced, a testament to its importance as the focal point of the web, and perhaps a strategic location for the capture of prey. The spiraling threads in this central region might be slightly thicker, the intersections more numerous, creating a subtle variation in the texture and appearance of the tapestry. The beauty of the weaver's creation lay not only in its form, but in its impermanence. This was a temporary marvel, destined to be broken by the morning dew, or swept away by the wind, or perhaps, if fortune favored the weaver, to ensnare its first unsuspecting meal. But in its brief existence, it was a testament to the enduring power of natural design, a silent ode to the artistry that can be found in the most humble of creatures. The Twilight garden, bathed in the soft glow of emerging moonlight, held this delicate creation as a secret, a shimmering testament to the unseen forces that shape the world. The spinnerets worked with a tireless rhythm, a gentle pulse that echoed the slow beat of the garden's heart. The silken threads, each one a minute marvel of biological engineering, flowed from the spider's abdomen, solidifying in the cool evening air. They were not merely strands, they were lines of intent, pathways of purpose, woven into a design that spoke of an ancient, instinctual understanding of form and function. The faintest whisper of displaced air, the almost imperceptible tremor of a leaf, were the only disturbances in the profound quietude of the weaver's work. Consider the sheer volume of silk produced. Each thread, seemingly gossamer thin, was the result of a complex internal process. The spider's body was a miniature silk factory, meticulously converting proteins into the incredibly strong yet elastic fibers that formed its world. The weaver moved with a liquid economy of motion, its 8 legs a blur of controlled activity, each one contributing to the overall construction. There was no wasted energy, no superfluous movement. Every action served a purpose in the grand design. The radial threads, laid down first, acted as the skeleton of the web, providing a sturdy framework upon which the spiraling capture threads would be built. These radial lines were secured with meticulous care, each intersection a tiny knot of silk, ensuring the structural integrity of the entire edifice. The spider would traverse these lines with an uncanny precision, its body balanced perfectly, its movements fluid and assured. The only sound, if one were close enough, would be the faintest skitter of its legs on the silken strands, a sound as delicate as falling snow. Once the radial framework was established, the weaver began its intricate spiral. This was the most visually striking part of the construction, the creation of the web's characteristic geometric pattern. Moving inwards, the spider laid down a continuous line of silk, its path dictated by the radial spokes. At each intersection, it would pause, reinforce the bond, and then continue its spiral. The spacing of these threads was not accidental. It was a precise calculation, a balance between creating enough surface area to trap prey and ensuring the structural soundness of the web. The distance between each spiraling thread was a testament to the weaver's understanding of physics and geometry, a silent lesson in applied science. The texture of the silk was an essential component of its effectiveness. While the structural threads were designed for strength and resilience, the capture threads were often coated with a sticky substance, a microscopic adhesive that would ensnare any unfortunate insect that blundered into them. This dual nature of the silk, its combination of strength and tackiness, was a marvel of natural engineering. The weaver's ability to produce and deploy these different types of silk with such finesse was a testament to its evolutionary success. The garden, in its twilight state, provided the perfect environment for this silent artistry. The dim light made the nearly invisible silk all the more effective as a trap. The gentle stillness of the air prevented the web from being prematurely torn apart, and the abundance of insect life, stirred by the evening cool, provided the necessary sustenance for the weaver to continue its life-sustaining work. The garden was not merely a backdrop. It was an active participant in the creation of the tapestry. The weaver's journey around the web was a perpetual cycle of motion. From anchor to anchor, from spoke to spoke, it moved with an unhurried grace. There was no sense of struggle, no visible effort, only a quiet determination. Each completed section of the web was a testament to its persistent industry, a small victory in the ongoing battle for survival. The web, as it grew, became a thing of delicate beauty, a shimmering masterpiece woven from the very essence of its creator. Imagine the sensation of the silk itself, cool, smooth, and surprisingly resilient. A single strand, barely visible to the naked eye, could bear many times the weight of the spider. This strength, combined with its near invisibility, made the web a lethal trap for the unwary. The garden, at this hour, was a realm of shadows and subtle movements, and the web was a perfectly adapted instrument to exploit this environment. The spider, often overlooked, was the embodiment of quiet purpose. Its entire existence, for this fleeting period, was focused on the creation of this single, intricate structure. It was a process of pure, unadulterated industry, driven by an ancient instinct. The lack of dramatic action, the absence of loud pronouncements, did not diminish the significance of its work. Indeed, it amplified it. The beauty of the tapestry lay precisely in its silent, methodical creation. As dawn approached, the weaver might pause, its work nearing completion. The tapestry, now a shimmering expanse of silken threads, would catch the first rays of the rising sun, each dewdrop a tiny prism, creating a breathtaking display of light and color. This ephemeral masterpiece, born of patience and instinct, was a silent testament to the beauty and wonder that exists all around us, often unseen in the quiet corners of the world. The weaver, a master of its craft, had spun not just a trap, but a work of art, a silent symphony of silk in the heart of the awakening garden. The ancient willow tree, a sentinel of centuries, its gnarled bark a testament to countless seasons of sun and storm, now stirred, not with a sudden movement, but with a deep, resonant sigh that rippled through its leaves, a sound like the distant murmur of an ocean. Its voice, when it finally came, was not a sharp declaration, but a slow, deliberate unfolding, as if each word was being drawn from the very earth that nourished its roots. It spoke of time, not as a fleeting entity, but as a vast flowing river, its currents carrying the weight of all that had been and all that would come to be. "Listen," it whispered, its voice a symphony of rustling leaves and creaking wood, to the rhythm of the night. Feel the earth breathe beneath you, a steady, reassuring pulse. This is the pulse of endurance, the quiet strength that lies dormant, waiting for its season. My roots, they delve deep, anchoring me against the fiercest winds, drawing sustenance from the darkness. They are the silent storytellers, holding the memories of rains that fell before the first seed of man was sown, of suns that blazed long before any eye could witness their glory. The willow's narrative was a tapestry woven with the threads of patience. It spoke of the slow growth, the imperceptible thickening of its trunk, the deliberate unfurling of each new leaf. There was no haste in its recounting, no urgency. Each phrase was a leisurely drift, mirroring the gentle sway of its boughs in the gathering twilight. The wind, it continued, its tone softening further, is a familiar companion, It does not assault, but caresses. It whispers secrets through my leaves, ancient lullabies that soothe the restless spirit. When it dances through my branches, it is not a force to be resisted, but a partner in a timeless ballet. We sway together, a harmonious movement that speaks of surrender, of yielding to the natural flow of things. There is a profound peace in this surrender, a letting go of the need to control, to force. The imagery it evoked was one of deep, abiding calm. The very air around the willow seemed to thicken with serenity, imbued with the tree's timeless presence. It was a presence that offered a sense of belonging, a quiet reassurance that even in the deepest of nights, there was a constant, enduring force. "You are not alone," the willow murmured, its voice a gentle embrace. "Though the world may seem vast and unknowable, you are rooted, just as I am. You carry within you the same quiet strength, the same capacity for enduring serenity. Look to the stars. They too are patient, their light traveling across unimaginable distances. They have seen empires rise and fall, have witnessed the birth and death of worlds." The willow's words were a balm to the soul, a gentle reminder of the earth's enduring power and the subtle beauty of its quiet existence. It spoke of the dew that would soon settle on its leaves, each droplet a tiny mirror reflecting the starlight, a silent testament to the night's quiet artistry. "This garden," it breathed, "is a sanctuary, and I, in my stillness, am a part of that sanctuary. My branches, they reach down, like soothing hands, offering a resting place for weary spirits. They create a gentle curtain, a haven from the world's demands, inviting a deep, restorative rest." Its voice, a gentle murmur, continued to weave its spell, a melody of peace and acceptance. It spoke of the cyclical nature of life, the constant ebb and flow, the understanding that even in darkness there is the promise of dawn. "Do not fear the shadows," it advised, its tone laced with ancient wisdom. "They are merely the absence of light, and light will always return. Embrace the stillness, for it is in the quiet moments that we truly hear ourselves, that we connect with the deeper truths of our existence. This night is a gift, a time for introspection, for recharging the spirit." The tree's contemplation was a lesson in presence. It did not dwell on the past with regret, nor did it anticipate the future with anxiety. It existed, fully and completely, in the unfolding present. Its very being was an affirmation of life, a quiet celebration of enduring strength. "The roots," it repeated, as if to underscore its most profound message, "are the unseen strength. They are the silent work that sustains the visible grace. So too, within you lies a wellspring of resilience, a quiet power that can carry you through any storm." As the night deepened, the willow's voice seemed to become one with the gentle breeze, its words a soft caress against the fabric of the darkness. It spoke of the stars beginning to emerge, each one a distant hearth, a promise of light in the vast expanse. "They are ancient, like me," it mused, "and they too offer a silent comfort. Their steady glow is a reminder of the enduring order of the universe, a reassurance that even in the deepest darkness, there is a guiding light." The willow's narrative was an invitation to stillness, a gentle urging to let go of the constant striving, the relentless pursuit of external validation. It was a call to find solace in the simple act of being, to appreciate the profound beauty of a quiet existence. "This garden," it whispered, its voice now barely audible, "is a reflection of the inner landscape. When the outer world is chaotic, seek the quietude within. Find your own willow tree, your own place of deep roots and gentle sway. There, you will find peace. The tree's wisdom flowed, a perpetual stream of gentle reassurance. It spoke of the moss that clung to its bark, a soft green blanket woven by time and patience, a testament to the beauty that can thrive in the most unpretentious of spaces. Even the smallest of beings, it shared, have their place, their purpose. The moss, the insects that scurry beneath my bark, the birds that nest in my boughs, all are interconnected, a part of the grand tapestry. You too are an integral thread in this magnificent weave. The twilight garden, bathed in the soft, ethereal glow of the emerging moon, seemed to hold its breath, absorbing the willow's ancient song. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and fading blossoms, a perfume of gentle decay and nascent life. It was a symphony of the senses, a quiet ode to the natural world. The willow, in its profound stillness, was the conductor of this nocturnal orchestra, its voice the guiding melody that led all others into harmonious rest. Let the night embrace you, it urged, its tone a warm, resonant hum that vibrated through the very soil. Let the gentle sway of my branches lull you into a state of profound peace. Release the tensions, the worries, the burdens you carry. They are not yours to hold forever. Like the leaves that fall in autumn, they too must eventually let go. Allow this quiet time to cleanse your spirit, to replenish your reserves. The tree's words were a gentle hand on a troubled brow, a whispered promise of solace. It spoke of the strength found in surrender, the wisdom gained in stillness, and the enduring beauty of a life lived in harmony with the natural world. Its narrative was not a tale of grand adventures or dramatic triumphs, but a quiet testament to the power of presence, the resilience of nature, and the profound peace that can be found in the simple act of being. The willow's ancient voice, a river of calm, continued to flow, its murmurs weaving a tapestry of tranquility. It spoke of the slow passage of time, not as a thief that steals away moments, but as a gentle sculptor, shaping and refining all that it touches. Each moment, it breathed, is a facet of eternity. Do not rush through them, but savor them. Feel the cool air on your skin. Listen to the subtle whispers of the night. Breathe in the scent of the damp earth. Its roots, it explained, were a metaphor for inner stability. They anchor you, it explained, to your true self, to the core of your being. When the winds of life buffet you, it is your roots that prevent you from being uprooted. Nurture them, tend to them, and they will provide you with an unshakable foundation. The willow's discourse was a profound lesson in resilience, a gentle reminder that strength is not always about outward force, but often about inner fortitude, about the quiet determination to stand firm against adversity. The graceful arc of its weeping branches was likened to the gentle embrace of a loving parent, offering comfort and protection. My branches, it whispered, are an invitation to rest. They are a sheltering canopy, a haven from the harsh realities of the world. Beneath them you can find solace, a temporary reprieve from the demands of life. Allow yourself to be enveloped by their gentle sway, to be soothed by their rustling song. This imagery of the sheltering branches created a profound sense of security, a tangible feeling of being held and protected by the ancient tree. The willow's voice, like the softest of songs, continued its serenade to the quiet night. It spoke of the enduring nature of peace, a state that can be found not in the absence of challenges, but in the acceptance of their presence. Peace, it explained, is not a destination, but a journey. It is found in the stillness between breaths, in the quiet moments of reflection, in the understanding that all things are in constant flux. This philosophical nuance added a layer of depth to its message, suggesting that peace is an active state of being, rather than a passive absence of turmoil. The ancient tree continued to share its timeless wisdom, its voice a gentle murmur that blended with the rustling leaves and the distant chirping of nocturnal insects. It was a voice that spoke of belonging, of interconnectedness, of the profound beauty that exists in the quiet, often overlooked corners of the world. The willow's narrative was a testament to the power of nature's gentle rhythms, a lullaby for the soul, inviting all who listened to embrace the stillness and find their own deep-rooted calm. Its presence was a living embodiment of serenity, its whispered words a soothing balm for the weary spirit, a timeless song that resonated with the quiet heart of the night. As our story dissolves into the hush of the night, let the whispers of the garden linger, the slow bloom of the moonpetal, the owl's silent watch, the soft drift of dew returning to the earth. Carry their peace with you as you drift away. Thank you for spending this quiet moment here. Sleep deeply, dream gently, and may serenity follow you into the dawn. Good night.